I'm probably best known for my pussy pipes. I've been doing a series of pussy pipes for the last 15 years. I think I made my first. My name's Billy Pacak. I've been carving wood for 20 years. And professionally for about the last 5 years. My wife, I was going to make a pipe, my ex-wife, I was going to make a pipe for her. So I took a close-up picture of her vagina and carved it out. And it looked great. So then I started this series where I can make a personalized portrait that is something that's so pretty that you'd never want to use it. It would be a constant temptation. Something that you might not even want to show, but you would, but you won't. I wanted to have. It took the art into another dimension that I can't think of any artist that really does anything like that. These are some things I'm working on right now. These shoes I've started. This isn't quite finished yet. This is, sexy woman's pump. Eventually there's going to be some saw blades that come out of here. So it's going to be quite a vicious pump. And this pump right here, I'm still looking for the hardware, but there's going to be a pin right here. But sexy shoes that are, because they're wood, they're unwearable, but just something that gives it some edge. This piece right here is a buff Jesus, and he is going to be attached to the cross and smashing it. And it's from a Boris Vihalio idea. He did a painting of it in the 70s, and it just seemed pretty apropos. Just a buff Christ, just a powerful Christ figure, and eventually it's going to be on a crucifix that, identical to the kind that you'd see in a Catholic church. This is this is one of the crosses I'm trying for the Jesus, and I have to break it just right. So this one here didn't break correctly, so it goes into the burn pile. I'm probably the only artist I've met that wants their art to be played with. Whenever I do an art show, if somebody's looking at my work, I will grab it and take it off the wall and put it in their hands. Because there's nothing like holding a gun with a penis on the end. It feels like a gun, it is a gun, and it feels even more violent because of it. That's why I do the art. That's part of the idea behind it, is that it's something that you can play with. I'm making this one for a friend. The idea is you'd load it here, and then you would stick it in your mouth and light it, and of course it would be smoking, off yourself, basically. So the idea of this is the hardest thing to show. I've done different shows where you can't really play with a gun in a public place. You never know who's a cop and who's going to blow your head off. It's really scary. So I really like this idea, and I really like the idea of using it that way. The pipe's the same way. They're meant to be used. They're perfectly capable of being used. Most of the time they're not, and I wouldn't expect people to pay that kind of money for one and actually burn it up. But they have that option, and I like that temptation. I like the idea that it's tempting them, especially if it's a portrait of them, that they want to take its virginity. It just adds that other dimension that I haven't seen in other pieces of art. The piece that I sold recently called Sistine Pipe, which is at the Flag Foundation in New York, and it's a pussy pipe of her name's Diane, and I mounted it on a board. I painted it, and I painted the words cistern pipe onto it, similarly to the way that Rene Magritte did with his famous "This is not a pipe" painting. That allowed me to tell people that this is really a pipe. This is not just a sculpture. This is something that, you know. So it added to the piece, and it was included into a show about how artists quote other artists. So that was a really good piece. I had done 2 of those. And there's a guy named J.G.G. Ballard, and J.G.G. Boggs, and he in the 90s was he would make currency. But it would be his own currency. It might have his picture on it. It might have United States of Florida or something like that, and they were perfect. And he would take this currency to a coffee shop, and he would order a coffee and a donut, and he would attempt to pay with his fake money. It might be $3 or $5 or something like that, and he would see if the waitress would actually accept that. And the art in that was that was a point where the waitress would have to cover it herself. You know, she'd have to cover the bill, and all she would have is this little piece of paper that was drawn. But it was the acceptance of it that it was worthy and that it was something special. So he would take everything he could from that transaction. He would take a menu, he would take his napkin, he would take the placemat, he would take all this stuff. And about 2 days later, the waitress would get a call from collectors trying to get that bill. So, and then he would in turn sell all the items that he had that was the documentation of that moment. So that was a very big influence to me, and I love that idea that a piece of art can be something more than just, you know, something that you're going to look at. It's something that is going to tempt you, or it's going to give you another emotion, there's another dimension to it. This piece here is, I've been working on her for a while. She's pretty spectacular. It's a piece of ebony, and like I said, it's so hard to carve. She's about a couple months away from being done. She's called Action Figure, and you can see there's a hole there in her hand, and she's going to have multiple different accessories like you would find in like, you know, the action figure packages for superheroes or whatnot. She's going to have a large hammer, a samurai sword, probably a large double-headed dildo. She's just going to be going off. I wanted her to have an excited look on her face. Her face isn't quite done yet. I want her to be happy to be bashing something. I've always wanted my art to speak for itself, and wanted it to go out and do its thing. I wanted it to be famous for itself. You know, I didn't want to have to promote it so much, and that's pretty much what's happening. The censorship part of it, I tried to show at craft shows or craft museums, and they'll have nothing to do with it because of the erotica, or maybe the if it's a pipe, because it could be considered paraphernalia, and I kind of like that challenge. I want to overcome those views. I can understand certain places not being able to show a pussy pipe, but that doesn't mean it's something that, as I could tell you from my hits, that I have more people looking at that than anything else. So I know there's a market, and I know people want to see it. It's just overcoming, people's Victorian attitudes about these things. Recently I've been wondering, should I tone some of the oddness down, and it's like that's the only thing that really keeps me going, and it's really what people want to see. So I'm constantly trying to push myself to be more creative. I want to have completely unique ideas that cause people to remember me. Just like to say that just keep an eye on my work. It's going to be going a lot of different new places, and I'm very excited about some of the things that I got that are going to be coming out soon.